Is your shop telling you that your transmission has lifetime fluid in it? I don't buy that, and neither should you. I'm Dave Riccio here along with Jon Riggle, and together we are the Bumper to Bumper podcast. We are putting you in the know when it comes to your car, and this is a common question I get. Oh yeah, I got a BMW and it says lifetime fill. There's even a sticker on the pan that says lifetime fluid.
Yeah.
And this one gets me because ZF manufactures the transmission for BMW. BMW does not produce its own transmissions. They buy them.
Yeah.
And if I go to the ZF literature, it says to service the transmission. If I go to the BMW literature, lifetime fill. So, why do we have this discrepancy? Why is that happening? So lifetime fluid, I think it's a mistake because fluid wears out. And to make it lifetime, John, the other thing I was going to bring up is sometimes I have a Chevy on one hoist that says service a transmission every 50,000 miles. It's got a ZF transmission in it.
Yeah.
I got a BMW on the next hoist, same exact transmission, ZF transmission. They both have two different recommendations. Why the difference?
I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense to me. Technically, that fluid will last the lifetime of the transmission, right up to the day that transmission dies.
Yes, exactly.
It'll last there. It's a lifetime fill right up to the end of the transmission. Yeah, it may happen at 80,000 miles instead of 160 or 200,000 miles. But hey, that was the life of that transmission. So,
it is true from a perspective.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe not recommended. And let's talk about why might a manufacturer do that? And I've seen Toyota do it. I've seen BMW do it. I've seen Chrysler do it. They're all doing it. And there's a reason why they're doing it, and it's not necessarily in your best interest.
No, Toyota, remember, used to do it for marketing when the Tundras came out. Remember the Tundra ads?
They had a split screen. They had a picture of a Chevy truck on the right-hand side, and below the Chevy truck, they had like 72 bottles of transmission fluid.
Yeah.
And on the left side, they had the Tundra.
Yeah.
And underneath the Tundra, they had the 9 bottles of fluid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Those transmissions essentially have the same technology.
Yeah.
So why does one use so much fluid and one doesn't? Well, as a manufacturer, they want to be low cost of ownership.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the less services they recommend, the less cost of ownership.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big one. And then the other thing you consider is some of these manufacturers pay for the maintenance for the first 50,000 miles or whatever it may be. So cost of ownership, they want to look low. They also want to look green because in that one, I think that Toyota was playing off of, hey, look, Chevy's is a whole lot more oil than we are. We're more green.
Yeah.
Back in the Prius days, remember the Prius commercials where the Prius would grow out of the branches?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. So there is some sparkle dust there. But, so cost of ownership is one. The other one is, and the reason they took the dipsticks out of the car, and I think, is that if I'm an automobile manufacturer, and I've got to guarantee that transmission. And remember, warranties on cars used to be 3-year, 36. That was it.
Right.
Then we got into longer powertrain warranties, 5 years, 60,000 miles.
Right.
Lifetime warranty from Dodge on a lot of stuff for some years, and a lot of 100,000-mile warranties on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's nothing worse than someone that doesn't know any better servicing a transmission.
Yeah.
Because now, if there's a problem with the service that causes a failure as the manufacturer, now you're warrantying a transmission that there was nothing wrong with other than somebody gave a faulty service.
Yeah. And there was always a lot of headbutting over that because the manufacturers wanted to use, and a lot of these transmissions, all these transmissions, have very specific fluids. I don't know how many 50 different kinds of fluids we stock down there. I mean, we have fluids for every one of these transmissions, and each one of them is real specific. Now, the problem for the manufacturers is the manufacturers couldn't deny warranty because of the Magnuson-Moss Act, where they basically say you can't tell people they can only use your fluid in your transmission, right? You have to make it has to be available. Well, all these oil companies come out and they'll sell you whatever they want to sell you, right? So that fluid going in there, they can say it works for that transmission, but it doesn't necessarily meet all the specifications.
Yes.
So if somebody services it within the warranty period and the thing fails, now you've got this headbutting going on with the manufacturer going, you put the wrong fluid in it. You can't say that I put the wrong fluid in it because we can use any kind of fluid we want. We don't have to use your fluid. And then they wind up with this situation where they wind up eating warranty stuff that they shouldn't really, because somebody put the wrong fluid in it. So that's one of the reasons you saw them make these a little bit harder to service.
Well, I put together another video here on YouTube on our channel that is a full in-depth look at, I even put a spreadsheet in there of all the fluids I sent out to the lab to have tests because I wanted to know how much boron or zinc was in it or calcium or what are the additive package. I had an infrared scan so I could look at the synthetic, kind of the breakdown of it. It was like a fingerprint for each oil, and you could lay them over top, which was super cool. I mean, I spent a bunch of time putting that together.
Yeah, it was cool.
Viscosity, stuff like that. But I am a firm believer in transmission service, and here's why. We talk about metal in the fluid, and we talk about these transmissions. There's a lot of moving stuff. They put a magnet in the pan of the transmission to catch the metal. And so what ends up happening, and that's just a normal thing. I'm not talking about metal that's a problem. I'm just talking about normal wear metal, is that fluid, that metal is stratified in that fluid, and that fluid is lubricating the thing called the valve body, which is the hydraulic brain of the transmission. And the way the modern transmission works, in the old days, we would just shift from first gear to second gear. It was not modulated.
Yeah.
The modern transmission, everything is modulated.
Yeah.
There's no, and what I can talk about is like a switch in your garage is on or off.
Yeah.
That was the old school solenoids, on or off. New modern solenoids are pulse width modulated, so like a dimmer switch in your dining room. So everything is modulated, and there's so much timing involved in transmissions because we no longer even have bands in transmissions where we did in the old days. So clutch is coming on, clutch is going off. This one, there's so many things that happen for one shift. And all that crummy oil, as it wears out, as it oxidizes, the additive package wears down in it, is lubricating the valve bodies. And those valves are just shuttling back and forth. So what it's doing is just lapping those valves and wearing them out.
Kind of scours the bores,
And so the way the transmission functions will actually deteriorate. I never recommend a service to somebody that's going to say, oh, your transmission is going to work better. There's a couple instances where that is the case.
Yeah, it's real specific, though.
Real specific, but I have people drive away and they go, my transmission's working so much better. And I'm like, that's not why I recommended it to you. I'm just like, we got to take your vitamins, right? And just because you take your vitamins, you may not necessarily feel better, but they say because the fluid just kind of loses its oiliness. And so, lifetime fluid, to me, it could be true, but to me, it's sparkle dust or smoke and mirrors.
It's true, right up until the day that transmission dies. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
The lifetime of the
lasted just exactly as long as the transmission did. Was no lie at all.
And I want to say BMW is probably the biggest offender. They've been doing it the longest. You recognize a green tag on the pan that's been on their pan forever. It just says lifetime fill transmission fluid.
Yeah.
And I've had plenty of BMW techs from the BMW dealership take me to task on it.
Yeah.
But, they've never taken one apart and rebuilt it, so I don't know. I don't know who's got more say-so. But anyway, so no such thing as lifetime fluid. I'm a big proponent of servicing. How often should you service your fluid? And that my rule of thumb, every 50,000 miles is a good rule of thumb.
That's the number one question I get asked is how often should I service my transmission? And I've just given up. It's 50,000 miles. That's a number.
Yeah, it is 50,000 miles.
It's a good number.
I'm going to tweak it for certain instances. So someone's got a CVT, I'm going to lower it to 30,000 miles because there's a lot of metal to metal in a CVT, metal chain, metal pulleys. They shed a lot of metal, and that stuff gets in the valves and wears those things out. So I might cheat them that way for that reason, but still 50,000 miles is a good, safe bet. Now, here's why I like lifetime fluid. If you can't find a shop that can actually do a good job servicing your transmission, then don't service it. Leave it alone. Because a bad transmission service is worse than no service at all. And I've said that for years, and I see, because if you're a corporation and you've got a profit center and you want things that are easy, right? So transmissions kind of get poor boyed, and they want to service them and sell a service to everybody, but I don't think it's done right.
Yeah.
Because they want it quick and in and out of the shop easy. And we do transmission services, and we easily spend 3 hours on a transmission service.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easily 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because we drive it, we scan all the modules, we test the battery, we look at the fluid ahead of time, we get that pan off, we're going to take that filter off, we're going to break it open, we're going to inspect it, we're going to put a new filter in there,
Yep.
put the pan back on, and then we're going to do something else where we take a cooler line loose at the radiator, run the engine, which runs the pump and the transmission. So that transmission on its own power is going to pump the fluid out. At the same time, I'm pumping fresh fluid into it.
Right.
So I'm going to run 15 quarts through a 9-quart system just to make sure we get all the stuff out of there.
Yeah.
But that's 2 technicians, 1 guy running the engine, 1 guy working the hose to do that. So it takes a lot of time. So that's why I say, and I do caution people, like if someone's, where you get your transmission service matters. They're very expensive. You know, we're seeing quotes out of dealerships for transmissions for $12,000 on a regular basis.
Oh yeah.
And that transmission service is costing you $300, $400, $500. They're kind of in that window. And one guy says, "Oh yeah, my transmission service is only $300." Well, maybe $250. We had one from the Nissan dealership the other day. He paid $250 for a transmission service, and he had the torque converter chatter. So he had read up on it. He was right. He knew what he needed.
Yeah.
They did the service. He left with the same chatter.
Yeah.
And then he came over here, and we looked at the fluid, and we're like, man, this fluid doesn't even look like it was. They put a dent in it.
Yeah.
And we reserviced it, and guess what? It fixed the problem. So transmission services widely vary. Sometimes they're, I call them placebo services,
Yeah.
and that's what I would have called that, guys, a placebo service.
Yeah.
Now, the old wives' tale about servicing a transmission will cause it to go out if you've waited till 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
And I used to tell people that all the time when I was on general repair.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was talking about, but even back then, I mean, the rules have changed even since then. I'm 48 years old. I was a whole lot younger.
Yeah.
The technology was a whole lot different. People didn't have cell phones back then. But you know, the rules with transmission service have definitely changed. And yeah, I would tell people that. But honestly, if you've got a transmission that's going out and you service it, yeah, there's a very good chance you're going to kick it over the edge. It's kind of like if you're at the hospital.
I wouldn't say it's a very good chance. I'd say it's
a possibility.
There's a possibility. There is a possibility.
Yeah, I would agree. That's probably rephrased better. But you're having some major health issues. You're down at the hospital. They're not giving you vitamin C.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of qualifies it. If you've got a transmission that's broken already, a service is not going to fix it.
Not at all.
All right, changing the fluid's not going to fix a broken transmission. And
so it's failing. You go get a service, think it's going to make things better.
Yeah.
Some of I have seen them where they don't leave the bay.
It's also it's not going to fix a worn out transmission. You know, I've only seen one. In all of my years, I only saw one.
I've seen one too.
Well, okay, I won't say that. I saw 2. The other one failed because they were flushing the transmission, and the guy had asked the GS to set up the flushing machine for him. They hooked the flushing machine up. They ran the car, but there was actually no fluid in the flushing machine, so they took all the fluid out of the transmission, put it into the flushing machine, and smoked the thing in the bay in a matter of like 4 or 5 minutes, just cooked it.
Right.
So, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one time. And that's back to your comments about a bad service.
Bad service is not necessarily worth it. I remember one time we pulled out a 4L80 transmission. Well, we hardly see those anymore, but I specifically remember it. And I walked over to the builder and I go, "What's wrong with it?" He says, "They had two O-rings on the filter." See, I did transmission services when I was 16.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I was like, when it worked. When I was done, I was like, I got my job still, right?
Yeah.
And so, what happens is you got to pull the filter, and the filter generally goes up into the bottom of the pump. Mm-hmm. And on that filter, it's got a plastic neck, and then it's got a rubber seal that goes around that. It's not like an O-ring, but it's more of like a 3/4 of an inch thing. That's on there, and then they shove the filter back up. Well, you pull the filter out. If you don't take out, sometimes that O-ring will stick up in the pump. If you don't pull it out, they put the new one on and stick it right back up.
Yeah.
So what's happening is that transmission was taking gulps of air every now and then. Transmission didn't work right after that, but eventually burned up the transmission.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a qualified shop, don't bother servicing your transmission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to say that.
Yeah.
But I've seen what's out there.
Yeah.
So that is my hesitation, but there is no such thing as lifetime fill transmission. It's just not to me, it's a marketing gimmick, or maybe gimmick's not the word, but it's a way to paint a light on something. So Bumper to Bumper Radio. I'm Dave Riccio here along with John, and we want to know what you want to know about your car. We can talk about anything. We can talk very surface level. If you're not careful with John, he'll take you really deep. He'll take you into all kinds of terms I ain't never heard. You know every acronym there is. He's it's a TIPM. Well, what's a TIP? I don't know what a TIPM is, but you have all these acronyms. I have to say, what's that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see you next time. Well, hello, I'm Dave Riccio, your host of the Bumper to Bumper podcast, and I would like to thank you for tuning in. If you want one of your car questions to be answered on our podcast, tap the link in the description for a chance to have your question featured. And while you are there, we would love for you to like and subscribe to see more Bumper to Bumper podcasts in the future.